Hi, friends, and welcome to Muppets, Sex, and Trauma, a Farscape podcast. This is just a little intro episode to tell you who we are and what we're planning to do with this podcast. I am Sara Ezzat, otherwise known as Costume Codex on YouTube, or sometimes the Costume Nerd. I make videos about costumes and media and stuff like that, and I am a big Farscape fan. And I sort of thought it would be fun to get a couple of my friends to watch the show, and I can be a kind of guide, and you can all enjoy them watching the show for the first time. So with that in mind, you guys want to introduce yourself? Go ahead, Josh.
Howdy, y'all. My name is Josh Gosdin. I don't have a YouTube channel like Sara does. All I have is a deep, passionate love for all things nerd culture. I'm particularly fond of Star Trek. That's what I grew up on. That's what I cut my teeth on, so to speak. When it comes to Marvel versus DC, I'm DC. And I don't hate Star Wars. I just think Star Trek is better. So that's kind of what I've got going for me when it comes to the things that I nerd out about. And you'll learn more about, I'm sure, all the stuff that I love as we talk more through all this kind of stuff. But that's just little old me in a nutshell.
And we know you from, we all got to know each other on Ian at the Passion of the Nerds YouTube Hangouts, which is also why we know Jack.
Yes, hi, hello Puppets. My name is Jack, and as Sara said, I am a editor, kind of producer, kind of right-hand man for Passion of the Nerd, aka Ian. And yeah, that's how the three of us met through a mutual shared love of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Yeah, I very much consider myself a pop culture nerd in general. Television, film, video games, all that kind of stuff. I would say, my favorite TV show of all time is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We are here to talk about Farscape. It's funny because I'm not a huge sci-fi fan. I like sci-fi, but I'm fussy with sci-fi, I guess, is what I would say. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm here and I'm along for the ride. Should be fun.
Yeah, hopefully you'll like it. Even if you don't, maybe that'll be sort of fun. But hopefully you'll like it. I think you will.
Exactly. It's about the experience, right? I get to hang out with some friends and talk about some stuff. Yeah. I'm more like I love things like, The Fifth Element and Blade Runner, like that sort of sci-fi. But when I'm very fussy when it comes to like spaceships and flying around and stuff. Like, I don't know. It's gotta have a little more to it. And I think Farscape might give me that. Yeah. I don't dislike Star Trek. Let me just be very clear. I like Star Trek. But yeah, I guess I'm just fussy.
I hope you guys will be patient with the first season. There's a growing pains, and there's a definite Riker's beard moment, which I think most geeks know about that, and everybody who's watched Farscape who's listening out there knows what the Riker's beard moment is.
Well, I definitely feel like I'm well prepared to get through. I'm well prepared to move through a first season on the promise of good stuff by virtue of being a Star Trek fan. Star Trek, I think, began the tradition of rough first seasons.
Yeah.
Before they find their footing. And like Jack said, we're all Buffy the Vampire Slayer fans.
We're all Buffy fans. We know what a rough first season is like. Boy, do we.
And there is definite Buffy vibes to Farscape. You can tell the writers were fans. It's name dropped twice.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I
already like it.
And they do the Buffy thing of, Buffy didn't originate it, but the thing that Buffy does well, which is like, there's episodic stories, and then there's the big story, okay. And Farscape really does that. And the reason that I wanted to call this Muppets, Sex, and Trauma, other than the Muppets, because this is a Jim Henson thing, is that the big story, the sort of big bad story, is a trauma recovery story.
Okay.
And I think we'll enjoy like delving into that.
And there's Muppet sex?
There's Muppets, and yes, there's even Muppet sex.
Oh boy, that's gonna be fun.
I'm looking forward to having my childhood shattered.
Mommy, what is it?
It's not Kermit the Frog Muppets, but it is the Jim Henson Company. Like, part of the reason they did this is they wanted to show what they could do with Muppets, and they experiment with stuff, and also like this is about as sex positive a show as you could get at the sort of turn of the millennium.
Okay.
So that's where the Muppets sex and trauma thing comes in. Farscape is sometimes called one American's journey through Sydney's BDSM scene. So
I'm intrigued and I'm excited and I'm looking forward to, because I mean, everybody thinks about the Muppets and they think about Sesame Street or maybe the Electric Company if they're particularly sophisticated, but you know, Jim Henson and the production company, like, you know, Labyrinth, are able to pull off any number of on-screen magical miracles, and so I'm looking forward to that for sure.
yes, there is definitely some cool stuff. So a little background on Farscape might be useful at this point. Like I said, it's a Jim Henson production, working with Rockne S. O'Bannon, and strangely enough, the Hallmark Company. I don't know, not what you'd expect from Hallmark.
No, not even remotely. Like, not even in the same universe. Pun. Get it?
Well,
universe. Space.
The format. I mean, big city guy goes to and meets a small town girl, and they fall in love.
Josh. Oh boy.
It's all right there, right before our very
is.
eyes.
The midnight train going anywhere. My God, we're not even 10 minutes in, and I'm singing. Oh.
This is what we're here for.
Yes.
But
Anyways.
Sorry, Sarah.
So no, it's all good. I'm leaving this in. I'm leaving this in. So yes, working with Hallmark and Rockne S. O'Bannon and the Jim Henson Company, and this was an Australian and an American co-production. So it's great. We've got an American, an Australian, and the Canadian is working as the guide here. So we've got your Australia and America covered.
I was just going to say that my understanding was that it was an American production filmed in Australia. Is that the case, or
It's filmed in Australia, and I think there's been a fair bit of Australian input.
Okay, cool.
At some point, we've got to watch Fury Road together. We might do a podcast on that, because a bunch of the actors and people are involved in Farscape.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, and the show aired first in 1999, but the broadcasters got a bit like, they were never quite sure what to do with Farscape, which is one of the reasons why it's ended up being such a cult hit. But one of the reasons why it's a little bit of a difficult in for people is that they broadcast the episodes in a different order in different regions. So America, Australia, and Britain all got slightly different versions of the first 5 episodes as to when they came out.
Listen,
That sounds
we're
wonderfully logical.
We're all Firefly fans here. We're familiar with that phenomenon.
Good point. So for the podcast, the order we're going to go in, I have the official Farscape illustrated guide here. So the order we're going to go in for the podcast is we're going to follow this. So what I will do at the end of near the end of every episode, I will let you know and let our listeners know what episode is coming up. Obviously, the first episode is the first episode, and then we go into ones that that air on a slightly different order. So please listen to the episode I tell you is coming up next, and not just follow the one that comes up next in the streaming platform that you're watching on, so that we can all be on the same page and get the story as it was supposed to be told. And when I do that, when I do the what episode is coming up, I'm going to give a little, this episode contains, so that you know if there's going to be body horror or traumatic stuff discussed. So you can prepare yourself, because I don't know about you guys, but I find it helps to know, not spoilers, but know if something troubling is coming, to be like, okay, yeah, I'm ready to watch that.
Can you just outline, for those who might not be aware, what exactly is body horror? Because I'm not entirely clear on it myself.
Same.
Well, there's an episode where something gets injected into someone's eye.
Oh,
okay.
that kind of... Okay, so... See, I just call that gore, but yeah. Okay, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, gore,
Violence.
body horror, something like that, where it's like, icky.
I mean, I'm a horror fan, so I'm like, bring it on, woo!
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. For some folks, you just want a heads up, and for some folks, it's like, not today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly.
So yeah, the order we will be going in is we've got Premiere, then we'll be doing Throne for a Loss, then Back and Back and Back to the Future, followed by IET, followed by Exodus from Genesis, followed by Thank God It's Friday Again, followed by PK Tech Girl, and then on from there. I think the order is generally the same on every platform, so I'll continue to tell you what's coming next, but that's our first 7 episodes, what they're going to be.
Those are some really interesting titles.
I was just thinking they're a little punny. I like that.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I like it.
The
It's kind of Buffy-esque in a way.
they actually had a competition for naming episodes.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So yeah, so the writers could have a little fun. So there's definitely some fun punny episodes.
And just so everybody knows, because we are all such big fans, Buffy's probably going to come up a lot.
A lot.
We're gonna relate a lot of things to Buffy. We can't help it. At this point, it's literally in our DNA.
Well, and I think we all anyways consume media through what we're familiar with, and so
Absolutely.
you'll be relating things to stuff that you love, Jack. I'll be relating things to stuff that I love, Buffy included.
Mm-hmm.
And I always feel like it's a bit of a trap sometimes that I can fall into personally, of like relating turns into comparing. And so what I'm going to try to do, Sarah, for this whole thing is I'm going to try to go in with as blank a slate as I can, rather than saying, oh, so it's like this, or so it's like that, or so that's where they got that, because
Right.
all art is imitation anyway.
Yeah.
Well, actually, there's nothing wrong with going in and going, oh, that's where they got that from on Farscape, because the character, our main character, our viewpoint character, Crichton, is a pop culture nerd.
Oh, okay.
He will reference everything up until 1999.
One of us. One of us.
Yep, he
It's
is one of
escapist.
us. This is us going to space, except not us. I don't want to be in Crichton's shoes, because there's definitely times that pop culture literacy helps with Farscape.
Okay. Cool.
It's built in that this was written by pop culture nerds for pop culture nerds.
I would say between the three of us, we basically have like a PhD in pop culture nerdism or nerddom or whatever the hell you want to call it. I mean, have you met us?
We're literally in a group called the Passionate Nerds. Come on.
Yeah.
We are at that, and is this the point where I mentioned that I'm getting a degree in gender studies and film studies and studying a bunch of monster stuff?
We're not worthy.
Oh, come on, you guys are what inspire me to keep studying.
Oh, Puppet.
She said it.
Oh,
It's so kind.
always get me right in the feels.
Honestly,
God.
jeez.
And I think there's going to be
Make
some
me
interesting
blush.
discussions. I think interesting stuff comes up about masculinity, which I know is a topic that you guys are both interested in.
Yeah, very much
Sure.
so. And I guess breaking the mold, the rigid mold of masculinity, is something I'm very interested in.
Well, same. I'm very. Living in America right now is fun. Trying to separate, understand, and deconstruct the toxically masculine messages I was given growing up, and sort of turning into a more open and whole version of myself has definitely been a personal journey that I've been on recently, and the media that I consume helps me with that. And I was definitely raised on very strong, progressive, third wave feminism kind of media. My mom made sure that we watched Xena, Warrior Princess, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Star Trek Voyager, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm looking forward to talking about that in this, because it's from the same era as all those shows.
And in terms of like masculinity, I'm very much interested in trying to sort of cultivate what I would refer to as like positive masculinity in all its forms. And probably like 10 years ago now, I went through this whole phase where I was like, oh, I'm not manly enough, I'm not this, I'm not that, until I just got to this point where I'm just like, hang on, I'm just me, fuck it. Like, it doesn't mean that I'm like not being one way or the other or whatever. It doesn't matter. Masculinity in a way could be whatever the hell you want it to be. Yeah.
Completely.
I don't know where I was going with that point, but that's it.
Well, hey, I will absolutely co-sign that. I mean, I know we're all cis, but I'm studying queer theory very much, and for the record, if anyone doesn't know, I'm queer. I'm a disastrous bi. Yeah. So yeah, talking about gender stuff and questioning heteronormativity is important. It's very important to me.
Absolutely.
And that doesn't mean we have to throw out ideas like masculinity, and it doesn't mean that straight is any less. It's not my world, but it doesn't have to be any less. But we don't have to do things in the proper way. We can do things in the way that is right for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's more about expanding on it rather than trying to throw it out or reinvent it. It's growing it into something more than this rigid straight line,
Well, for me, I'm as straight and cis as they come, but for me, it's definitely understanding the power and the privilege that affords me, and how I can, I guess, consciously navigate in my daily life and try to make sure that I'm not closing doors on people, but that I'm opening them for people.
And being aware of that is such a powerful thing. Like you never really know who you could be helping or influencing in a positive way. One thing Ian and I talk about on the other podcast that we do is positive masculinity, but also just like healing. And I think trying to cultivate a more positive form of masculinity in itself is very healing. It's a healing thing. And I think I don't know, there's so many guys out there. Like it's a bit better now, say in the last 10 years, but before that there was this very sort of toxic, rigid, straight line idea of what masculinity was, and it drove a lot of guys insane, and led to really awful things that I shouldn't go in with without a trigger warning. But I just think just for people in general, your life is going to be better and easier if you can find some peace with who you are, and sort of being okay with that. And a part of that is accepting people for who they are too, and that is incredibly important to me. That's one of my core values, I would say.
And I think this is going to be something that Farscape gives us a chance to get into talking about. You know, John's journey, and we'll meet Dargo as well. You guys will get to meet all of these people when we have our when we record the premiere. There's a few different male characters who are very masculine in their own kind of ways, and I think it's going to give us an interesting opportunity to explore this kind of thing. And, you know, of course, like anybody, the writers were doing their best in the circumstances they had, which was 1999. And they were trying to see what they could explore. And it's interesting because the show was very much written by the seat of the pants kind of writing. They followed through when things opened up and explored stuff. So we're going to get some interesting stories to look at. And I think you guys will really appreciate John. He is a very masculine character without being toxic mostly. You know, finding his way in this strange world he finds himself in that we will get introduced to.
Love it.
So that's the main character, right?
Yes, John Crichton.
Yep.
So we wandered away from Farscape a little bit there, but brought it back. And I want to ask you guys, what do you know about the show?
I know almost nothing, and kind of at the point that you first approached us with this idea, I kind of started deliberately kind of pushing away knowledge of Farscape. When the show first started airing in the States, I was in middle school. I was in junior high, and my mom and dad were very very much in control of the TV remote, and we already had Buffy and Star Trek and the X-Files. We didn't need to add this weird campy show with Muppets in it, and it looked kind of silly anyway, and looked kind of derivative, and that was sort of the household opinion that formed. And so I've never really given it a second look or a second thought. Kind of growing up, I'm aware that a couple of the stars make their way over to the Stargate franchise, and they get some fun meta jokes at their expense. But beyond that, I'm going in really as a blank slate with this show.
Okay, and Jack?
Well, being Australian, at the time it was airing, I remember them making kind of a big deal out of it. I remember seeing commercials for it and stuff, but I never really watched it because, as I said, I'm just fussy when it comes to sci-fi. But I want to say in like late 2007, 2008, I saw a couple of episodes, but I barely remember it. I just remember some dude gets lost in space, and there's some half bird, half bear thing, and there's some weird looking like cockroach puppet thing. I don't know. I remember, like, I have vague memories of thinking, oh, this is kind of cool. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I was aware of it, but I just never really took the time to actually check it out. So I'm excited. And yeah, I plan on, even though I do have this, I'm fussy with sci-fi thing, I plan on going into it with an open mind, as I do with, or try to do with everything, and just, yeah, it sounds like this is going to have more going on beneath the surface that I think is going to really suck me in. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Well, for my part, if anybody wants to watch my feelings on Farscape, on my YouTube channel, I did a video called Why I Love Farscape. I watched a little bit of it on Space, which was the Canadian sci-fi channel in the 90s. The one I watched Buffy on and everything else, because I'm about a decade older than you guys. or nearly. And then when I was living in the UK,
Just called us right out.
I called myself old.
Yeah, but we're so young.
She called us boys, Jack.
It's just our boyish charm.
It really is.
Do I edit this out or not?
Leave it in. Leave it in.
I'm like 8 years older than you guys. I ended up buying the DVDs because they just looked really cool when I was living in the UK. Watched the whole thing, was like, okay, that's awesome. And I've watched it again and again. And as my sort of pop culture and like media studies literacy gets better and better, the more I see it, and I'm like, oh God, they're doing such cool things. So yeah, I love it. I do. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how you guys like it, and seeing if we can convert more people. It is very much a cult hit, so see if we can convert more people.
So you saw it after it aired then, is that what you...
I saw some of it when it aired, but I saw like the full thing. When the main series had aired, but the mini series that finishes it hadn't. Because Farscape is a little like Firefly before there was Firefly, in that it got cancelled abruptly, and the fans worked so hard, and we got a mini series that finished it. We got like a two-parter. So we'll get to that we have 4 seasons and then a mini series.
Okay. Sounds doable.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's enough content to keep us going for quite a while.
I should think.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's funny because that's kind of my experience with Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
He said the B word.
I watched. I know I said it, and I'm going to say it a lot, and I make no apologies. I watched a big chunk of that while it was airing, and then didn't watch it all from start to finish until like 6-7 years ago. But there's no reason for me to bring this up other than I love Buffy, and yeah.
We're going to have like some kind of B tax every time one of us brings up Buffy.
Like a swear jar or something.
A sleigh jar.
Yes. We will have a sleigh jar, and we'll probably need a Trek one for you too. Let's be honest.
Just a nerd jar.
A nerd jar.
Okay, I'm probably going to need one for Discworld anytime I bring up Terry Pratchett.
Yeah.
To be fair though, Terry Pratchett is amazing.
Yes, he is. Yes, so yeah, we know who we are.
Absolutely, and we make no apologies for who we are.
So, and I think if you've listened to this, you guys out there probably have some idea who we are, or are starting to.
Or you'll learn quickly.
Yep.
If you listen or if you watch, because we're going to do this in a sort of video and audio format. So there will be a YouTube channel where you can see the 3 of our faces talking, and our space backgrounds, as we have chosen variously to have space backgrounds.
I was gonna do a ridiculous background, but I'm like, oh, everybody else is in space, so I should do space.
And if you just want to hear our voices and not our silly faces, then you can listen to it on pure podcast form.
And I just want to reiterate that both Josh and I have not seen the series, so if you could try and keep spoilers to a minimum, talk about the episodes that we are talking about on that specific episode of the podcast. But yeah, just be cool, people.
And I'm even not a fan of the spoilers that you don't think are spoilers, but when you're like, pay attention to the red triangle, because the red triangle will come back later.
Yeah, it's like that's still spoilery, and it's still puts expectations into your mind, and so yeah.
We want to be fresh. We want to absorb.
Absolutely. Like, if you love this show, let us experience it the way you did, and hopefully we will love it too.
And because I know the show, I will be running the social media. So I will try and filter what you guys see. So if anybody wants to do a spoiler thing, you can put it in an email to me. I will make up an email address. Email address muppetssexandtrauma@gmail.com. That's Muppets, Sex, and Trauma, all spelled out lowercase. And if you have spoiler thoughts that you really, really, really need to share, you can send them to me and not to the guys. So we will have socials for that, and we will try and keep everything spoiler free. And I will try not to show on my face when stuff that's important.
How's your poker face, Sara? How's your poker face?
Terrible! You guys know me. My poker face is terrible.
Yeah, mine too. I'm glad I'm not in your position, because I would ruin it for everybody. Unintentionally, I just...
At
least there will be no context. If I'm just like...
Yeah, we're just going to look up and Sara's just going to be like...
or just like hiding her face. Don't look at me! Don't look at me!
When she hides her face, that's when we know it's a spoiler.
Well, I mean, hopefully that'll be part of the fun too, is you guys could be like, there's something. Well, hopefully we will get some listeners who are also unspoiled and are going to enjoy coming along for the ride with you guys.
Yeah, join us.
Yeah, please do, because that'd be a lot of fun. Talking with you guys about our theories and what we think's going to happen, and yeah, definitely, come along for the ride. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think we'll make up a Patreon and have a Discord. So that people can talk Farscape and not spoil it.
Yes. And hey, if this all goes well, when we finish Farscape, we might move on to something else.
So, is there anything else we want to talk about?
I always try to look for the nuggets of gold in any media that I consume. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm one of those people who, whenever we're talking about, it could be 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, and everybody won Razzies for it. And I'm like, yeah, but the sets were really nice. Like, I'm that guy.
I know, we tease you for it.
I'm looking forward to Farscape, because I'm looking forward to digging for the gold.
Jack, what are you looking forward to?
Well, just like Josh, really. I really want to find something to like about it and love about it. And like Ian from Passion of the Nerd always says to me, like, who wants to hate things? That's not fun. Like, we all want to love the things that we love, and it is so much easier to tear something down than it is to build it up. And this is what I want to do here. I want to fall in love with this thing. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, cool. But fall in love with it and just build it up and talk about its greatness, extol its greatness, shall we say.
Yeah, I say the only reason for, like, not exactly tearing things down, but the only reason for breaking stuff apart is to learn what could be better. Sure.
Oh, there is always a place for that kind of critique, without a doubt. I mean, we are Buffy fans, and season 1 exists. I totally agree.
I love doing that as a social critique. What does this tell us about our society? Which
right.
we'll probably be doing less of with Farscape because, well, I mean, it's aliens, but it's still always human.
And you know what? If anything at all, I'm just looking forward to spending some time with my friends here, just hanging out and nerding out. It's going to be good fun. Love you, Booze.
Yeah. The plan is to release episodes every other week. I think that'll give us enough to be interesting, and we can manage that with our schedules. So, sorry folks, we can't give you every week, but we'll give you every other week. So, should we draw this to a close and tell people where they can find us online? Josh doesn't want to give out his personal stuff. If you want to contact him, it'll be through the show things.
Well, this is my very first foray into media criticism, media reactions, media reviews, and so I'm just brand new. I'm a baby, really.
Yeah, and Sara and I have been doing this for a little while now, and so, Josh, we understand baby steps, man. That's okay.
Baby steps.
Totally okay.
So if you want to talk to Josh, for now it's going to be through the show socials, which I will insert here. And Jack, do you want to tell the folks where they can find you?
You can find me on Twitter at lackofsurprise1. That's all one word with the number 1 at the end. You can check out a podcast I do with my friend Ian called Podcast of the Nerds. And I think that's it. Come and find me. We can chat. You can send me things. Yeah, let's just have a good time.
Yeah.
And what about you, Sara? Where can people find you?
Well, I'm on YouTube at the Costume Codex, where I talk about my love of costumes, what we can learn about meaning and narrative through costumes, and also do videos on, like, this is why I love this thing, because those are fun videos to do.
And can I just say, your channel is wonderful. You do amazing work.
It really is. You really do.
Sweetie.
I'm not just saying that as your friend. It is great stuff. It really is.
Check out the Costume Codex. I think you're going to be surprised and you're going to have a fun time.
My habibis.
I've learned a lot about costuming and its importance in media. So
I've started noticing it whenever I watch shows.
Same. I'm like, oh, I wonder if that means that. Oh, wow! And then I connect all these dots. And I'm like, oh, this is fun.
And it's all thanks to the Costume Codex.
It's
Absolutely.
working.
Your diabolical plan.
Beyond that, you can find me on Twitter at BlueStockInSara. Blue, as in the color, stock in, because it was supposed to be blue stocking, but it didn't have the G. So BlueStockInSara. And I'm on TikTok, although I'm not thrilled with my username, so I'll let you guys know when I've picked a username that I actually like and start making videos and not just scrolling endlessly because it makes me happy.
See, Sara, TikTok, you're down with the millennials, with the you know.
No, I'm not. I'm definitely in old people TikTok. I'm definitely in middle-aged alphabet mafia TikTok.
Well, you're still cool to me, damn it.
Aww.
Me too.
Aww. I was never cool when I was young, but maybe.
Me neither.
Whoever is.
Yeah. You know, people become cool when they stop caring whether they are cool or not.
Yeah.
And that, my friends, is my Jackism of the day. I don't know, ignore me.
Yes, that's our lesson for young people, although this podcast is probably more 18 plus once we start getting into the show. But our lesson for the young folks is you start to be cool when you stop caring if you're cool.
Why are we like we're aging before everybody's eyes right now? Like, today's lesson, kids.
I'm gonna start graying and my hair will fall out.
Well, you guys have a preview of what 40's like.
Back in my day,
I swear, we didn't have spaceships.
you youngins just don't know what hard work is.
I'll tell you what, boy, howdy.
This is going to be so much fun.
I think it is. I'm looking forward to it. Let's do it.
If you guys are going to be all Australian and Texan, I got to come up with some Canadianisms. The Egyptianisms will probably come through. I'll start calling you guys Habibi. So if you've listened this long, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our first episode is entitled Premiere, and we will get to, in this episode, There isn't really any body horror or anything too much of that nature to worry about. We will just get introduced to our characters and meet the story world.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. 1, 2, 3.
Well, hang on. You said 1, 2.
This again. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
No, you can't change it, Sara. You can't change the process.
Somebody else do the 1, 2, 3.